Hi. Hey,
Hello.
Danielle.
Hello, friend. Hello, our friends on the stream. I don't know who does more live streams than this channel, but I will say I'm super happy to be here with you, Jen, as we await the vice president's closing argument for the election, which is, folks, if you don't already know, 7 days away, just 1 week away. How are you feeling, Jen, that it's 1 week away? Oh, you're muted.
How am I feeling?
Yeah.
Um, it feels like everything I am doing is kind of trying to like put spray perfume around or make a happy dance around the knot in my stomach. Like it is there. There is a knot in my stomach, Danielle, and it's not going away until January 6th of 2024, I'm afraid.
Until
Until
January
January
6th
6th
of
of
20.
20.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
That's
that's
fair.
fair.
Um,
Um,
oh, we're
oh, we're
having a
having
little
a
bit
little
of
bit of
echo.
echo.
Okay. Uh, I will say that I share the knot that you have in your stomach right now. I think I long for the days when elections were all, we're watching and we're at a watch party and we're drinking and we're hanging out with friends and we're just, like debating what's going to happen, but it's not existential. I long for those days and I realize that we haven't had it in like 9 years. So I don't know. Um, I'm feeling hopeful-ish, if that's a phrase. I think that Madison Square Garden and what we all saw on Sunday um really showcased for us who exactly, I mean, if you needed any more, right? Like if the separation of children from their families, if the attacks against trans people, if the attacks against queer people, if the attacks against Jewish people, Muslim people, Black people, if all of that was not enough over the last 9 years, if Project 2025, the manifesto, wasn't enough, and you're like, no, I need something more cinematic to deliver the message for me that Donald Trump and his followers are white supremacists, then Madison Square Garden did it.
You know what I love about it? God bless the Boricuas and everyone else in Puerto Rico because I love the possibility that the moment he went too far was when he called Puerto Rico a big pile of garbage floating in the ocean. You know
Ah,
what?
Tony Hinchcliffe, yes. Uh-huh.
Yes. And that I don't even want to say Tony Hinchcliffe because that was the Trump campaign. They fed into the teleprompter this garbage. That was the only garbage was what was on stage. And I think the absolute arrogance of it, who knew that that's what it would be it, grab him by the pussy, that wasn't it, like you
Nope.
said. I mean, admiring Hitler's generals, that wasn't it.
Nope.
Staging an insurrection to try to engage in a coup to overthrow the, lawfully cast ballots of a democracy. No, trying to, we even now know, cozying up to Vladimir Putin, having phone calls about him and agreeing, sending him COVID tests when we were short of them, not just COVID tests, COVID testing equipment, when people
Mm-hmm.
in the United States were short of them. And he was saying we should inject ourselves with bleach, getting adjudicated a rapist, and now owing over $90 million in connection with that. How about the over 400 million? I mean, should we go on $400 million judgment in the civil fraud claim? Did we mention that he also has, he was indicted twice and maybe really actually three times by a federal grand jury because there was a second grand jury assembled? There still is that criminal RICO case happening in Fulton County, Georgia. And did I mention 2 days before Thanksgiving, which is going to be my new Friendsgiving Day, is when he will be sentenced for his 34 felony convictions?
I
Oh,
love that it's Friendsgiving Day. I love that. That's gonna
but
be
wait a
like a
second. That wasn't even a complete sentence because what we're saying is that wasn't enough. But fuck you. You call Puerto Rico a floating fucking garbage Island, and I'm going to stop by swearing because I need to use it for emphasis. But no way. That is the limit. This man, is local. That is it. He screwed himself over. Who would have thought it would have come to this? Because I think you've looked at the numbers. I can share them with Danielle,
Yep.
with you,
Yeah.
Danielle.
Yeah.
But have you looked at these numbers of how many members of the Puerto Rican diaspora live in Pennsylvania? Have you
Oh,
looked
please.
at
Oh,
those?
yes. Oh, I have. But if you have them, tell the people watching, because when I saw, I was like, oh, so you insulted, like, what? Because I think that, here's the thing: when we're talking about elections, we're talking about winning them by what? 11,780 votes. That's what Donald Trump needed in 2020 in Georgia, right? We're talking about a handful of votes in a handful of states. So please run down the list of how many Puerto Ricans are in different parts of the country.
I'm so glad you asked.
Please.
Look what I have. Now, I know this is a little bit hard to read, but if you look around 3/4 of the way down this chart, and I will have a map of the United States in a second for you, my friend Danielle. But
Mm-hmm.
if you look, this is alphabetical Puerto Rico. This is from 2018. This is about as good as you can get data wise. Okay, so this is the Puerto Rican population in the 50 states. In other words, the mainland. And 472,000 Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania. I bet you'll be surprised also to see North Carolina with its very high population, 115,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, my friend. And that's pretty interesting because the entire state population is 10 million and the total Hispanic population is 994,000. That includes the Puerto Rican diaspora there. We're talking close to 10% of North Carolina. I love this. Shall I go on?
Please.
Look, my map.
Please, give us the break. Give us the breakdown.
It's not like I had this in my back pocket or anything, but I like my pictures and my data as much as you do. Now, this is drawn from the same data set from 2018, and I know this is pretty small, but we all know our shapes. Now, the darker the color, like you go from red, which means
Mm-hmm.
over 250,000, down to less than 50,000. Look at that. Now, I didn't really think Florida was in play, but here's the deal. I know, we tend to treat different aspects of different segments of the Hispanic population as being aligned certain ways. Like generally speaking, most people from Cuba who live in the United States tend to be more conservative. We could say that, but look at this. In Florida, over 250,000 people who are Puerto Rican live there. I think some of those folks may not have been voting or may have been voting for Donald Trump, not anymore. Pennsylvania is bright red in the good way. Bright red in holy smokes, you effed yourself, Donald Trump. And those are the same numbers. That is the Puerto Rican population, 472,000. Now, New York, New York is New York. In some ways, we can say, oh, that doesn't make a difference. But let's remember, he is still gunning for, meaning Donald
Yep.
Trump, those
Yep.
congressional districts. Every vote counts. And then you get yellow, North Carolina. Oh, look at that, Ohio. Now, Wisconsin, between 50,000 and 100,000. And I just want to quiz you, Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
When Hillary Clinton won the popular vote and lost electoral college across those battleground states, was that number like under 100,000 people? You remember, like, was it like 77,000
Yeah.
that she lost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Definitely.
mean, these numbers, this could have literally sunk him. He is a piece of garbage, and no offense to garbage. Donald
I,
Trump totally screwed himself, Danielle.
my thing here is my question. It's like, okay, so the only statements that the Trump campaign want to try and distance themselves, now that there has been fallout and it continues to roll out from Sunday, are the things that they said about Puerto Ricans and Puerto Rico, because of the very numbers that you read out. My whole thing is, don't they vet these people when they come to speak at a rally that the candidate is speaking at? Don't you see before you load the speech into the teleprompter exactly what it is that you're going to say? So if you know those numbers, right? Why would you have somebody get up on stage and disparage the very people whose votes you actually need? in battleground states that are razor thin right now.
Well, I mean, part of his thinking is I don't need votes because I'm going to steal the election.
Right.
Right? This is
That's it.
I mean, do we need to play This Is My Little Secret clip? I mean, would you like that one too? Because that's one of my favorites. You saw that the other
Oh,
night,
yes, I
right?
did. Yes, I did.
And this is where Donald Trump is saying the quiet part are loud, but he acts as if it's a secret. Anyone with a brain and a pocket copy of the U.S. Constitution and a memory of, 2021 can pretty much guess what Donald Trump's little secret was. So I think we should play that, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
I mean, you know what his not so little secret is, right? We've been
Please,
down this road.
tell the people. I know what it is.
Oh boy, he thinks he's so clever. Well, we all know January 6th is the date when we have the joint session of Congress presided over by the vice president, who will still be Kamala Harris,
Right.
and the House and Senate come together and they open electoral college votes and they debate and blah, blah, blah. And then boom, count president, certified, vice president certified, or announced, what have you, the ministerial role. Well, as you also probably know, prior to January 6th is the date of January 3rd. And let me say this differently. The president, we know, isn't going to be sworn in until January 20th. However, the House and Senate get sworn in on January 3rd. So we have the so-called new House and Senate on January 3rd. And if the House is still held by the Republicans on January 3rd, then he's thinking Mike Johnson will once again be elected Speaker of the House. And he will then mess with what the events of January 6th and throw the election, to the states. That is the plan. I mean, I've been talking about, I haven't been giving people this idea. This is obviously his idea. That's why he is campaigning in some of these blue states. He is trying to pick up as many House districts as he can. So when he says stuff to people like, well, I don't really need your vote. If we get this fixed up, you'll never have to vote again.
That's what he means.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, there might have been a time years ago, Danielle, when people would think we were wearing tinfoil hats. But actually, the people with tinfoil hats are the people who, on January 7th, thought he had changed and wouldn't run again. Those are the people. The people in the tinfoil hats are the ones who said, you little ladies are getting your hormones in a twisted knot because you think they're going to overturn Roe versus Wade. And to those people, I have to say, would you at least listen to us this time around? Or no? Not this time? Okay.
I just, I honestly, I don't know what it is that people need, and that's why I say, maybe it was the cinematic, imagery and movie like sentimentality that people have with Madison Square Garden, that that was the thing that was going to put them over the cliff here. Oh my God, I can't believe. But the reality is, how many people have voted already? Over 50 million people. Over 50 million people have voted already. Yeah.
Right.
Have early voted. So
wait a second, because last time the election, what was it? It was 80 and 70. It was under 160 million. You're telling me 50 million have voted? Like a third of people?
Yes. Have voted already.
My heart is I'm feeling better, but the knot's still there, Danielle. It's still there in my stomach.
I know. Because I'm just this is where, so I say that to say that if Sunday was your tipping point, have you voted already? I guess it's my point, because I'm I think I don't even know if it was a joke, but there was a woman apparently, on social media, and let's just say it was a joke, but she was oh, after this, I can't vote for him. Goes to the polling place and says, I need to change my vote.
You're allowed to do that? No, wait a second.
Allowed to do that?
Wait, I don't want to advertise this, but I was wondering, I was looking in Michigan because I was tooling around on our website, and I feel like if you cast your ballot by early voting, They keep track of it. Can't you change it? Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't
Oh,
think so.
I'm probably wrong. I'm probably thinking of corporate proxy voting because you can change your vote up until the day of the annual
Right.
meeting.
Okay. So yes.
You're like, whatever. That's
but I'm
not.
like, sure, but not in America. Not once you've cast your ballot can you say, I'd like to take that back, please, because the person I cast my ballot for is a known racist, which you should have known beforehand. But that, I mean, that's the thing that worries
Oh, you're
me.
right. I just looked it up. No, you can't.
Cannot. It's not a no
It's-
backsies moment.
But that's what they do in corporate governance is different than, okay, fine. You're right. You can't just go in
You
and say,
can't go back.
you can't take a Sharpie and like scribble
Right.
all over.
No,
it,
or
right.
like Donald Trump and take a Sharpie and just like write something else in and say, hey, just,
I won?
disregard my original one.
Oh my God.
But
Oh my God.
So to that point,
Yeah.
our early voting is off the charts, right? From where it was in 2020. And what folks are saying is you can't just rest in your laurels and think that all of those are Democratic votes. I don't know where Jen went, but you can't just rest in your laurels that it's just Democratic votes because it's not. We know that Republicans, even to Donald Trump's back and forth, is telling people don't vote early because that's fraudulent, but then tells them, no, but vote early. I voted early. I don't know what state he voted in. Like I said, the man is a felon. But it's, I think that the fact, I was like, you're back.
Yeah, sorry. It's my wireless.
But what I was saying is that, like, here we are, and we're at a place where I think that between now in a week, right? If 50 million people already voted, my assumption would be that the same amount, if not more, will vote again. This may be the most, like, the election where the most Americans showed up to vote, right? Like what do we normally get? It's not 100% of the people that are eligible to vote don't vote, right? Like, we know that. So I think that these numbers, I pray, signal the fact that people recognize how serious this is. But time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have these numbers in my back pocket, but I do recall that first of all, women vote more than men do generally.
Yes.
Right. And I am seeing the ABC polling from the other day and was pleased to see, although overall white women are still supporting Donald Trump higher than Kamala Harris. It's much smaller. Like the support for the Republican at the top of the ticket by white women is smaller than it used to be, and this is only based on exit polling. Like, I think we're going to be, I don't know where this is going to come down, and you may disagree with me on this point, Danielle, but I do think that Kamala choosing to embrace centrists and Republicans will actually help this time around. I mean, the numbers of Republicans who are saying, yeah, this person and that person, they don't want anyone to know, but they're voting. And I'm talking about like Michigan. There are so many closet Kamala supporters. It's unbelievable. That's what I want. I mean, so I think, I don't think she's compromised in terms of policy one iota by saying it's okay, Dick Cheney. I mean, Dick Cheney's vote, it adds up the same as anyone else's vote. And that's hard. I think a few years ago that might be hard for me to take, but I'm willing to swallow my pride and say, go ahead. One of the Bush girls, daughters, women,
Barbara.
all of them, take them all those votes add up. It's just like, that is where we are on the brink of losing the democracy, and then fight like hell once Kamala's in to, I don't want her to appoint this person or that person. I'm not going to name names. I have one in my mind to be, Treasury Secretary. Sure, I would prefer someone different, but whoever she puts in office, I will work on banking reform the same way I did under any other administration.
Yeah.
What do we have? Oh gosh.
We have one, the sad countdown to the election, but we're also just awaiting the vice president to come out to speak at the Ellipses.
I just muted that screen audio if you
Yeah,
don't
that's
mind.
good. No, that
Because it
was
was
great.
hard for me to dance to that particular groove. I don't know about you. It's not my
I
jam.
don't know if one would call that a groove. It was definitely sound in my
It was
ears.
sound.
It was sound.
It was 70s music or dentist office in the 80s. But we can unmute. Let me just see. Hold on.
Look at this though, Jen. Look at this crowd.
Wait a second. I'm having serious FOMO. Are
Me
you?
too. Shit. But you know why? Because I'm going to DC tomorrow and I should have gone tonight. I am going tomorrow. Oh man. That's extraordinary.
The FOMO is overtaking the knots in my stomach, and now my eyes are just bulging out, and I'm filled with joy. And look at them. I don't want to scream into my mic like I do when I'm feeling exuberant, because you have ears and there people do too. But holy moly, let me just make sure there's no one talking. Hold on. Yeah, no.
They'll turn the camera to them. But we'll keep this up so that we don't miss the walkout. And much in the same way that we've done with the debates, while she's speaking, we'll mute ourselves so that we can take it in. But I just like, look at this in comparison. The last time that we had a speech at the Ellipses was January 6, 2021.
Do you want to do a compare and contrast or no?
I mean, I think folks are, but if you have a picture,
Mercedes does, and can I just throw it up? More than a picture. I got some. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down.
Liar.
We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength.
You know, it's winter in that photo. It's cold. Everything is sharp. He's got those leather gloves. And here we are. Now it is fall. And it's a time of renewal and possibility. I mean, I could not have chosen better contrast. How about you?
I mean, I think that it was like, one, it's cold, right? Because their hearts are cold. It was also not as full, even though we didn't get to see really the pan out to the crowd. But to be honest, there was a lot of grass that you could see, much like his inauguration day. And so when we're seeing the pan out of video here, I mean, this is extraordinary, right? Like this is. We were all kind of hanging on by our fingernails earlier.
Yes.
On nerds, and just all of us were feeling this sense of anxiety. But this is, I mean, the sign says freedom, folks, not fascism. It says freedom.
I have my freedom sign from the other day, and I'm not leaving my setup here because this is precariously balanced what I've got going on. But Danielle, I'm a big fan of that red, white, and blue bunting that's at the bottom of the stage in these flags raising. Maybe when I was, and I'm older than you, 10 years old, the bicentennial in 1776, in 1976, I was into the red, white, and blue thing, but I'm not usually that kind of gal. But today, this is making my heart sing, seeing who is holding these flags, seeing who we could be elected president. And I'm also, the one thing I'm not loving is the sort of, I know they have to have that bright light next to maybe it's okay for the Washington Monument and its, phallic wonder to be occluded by a beautiful light. I mean, who cares if it's
Alec
we're,
Wonder.
enough of all that. We can be we can embrace a I don't, oh my God, how many people do you think? I mean, I'm looking at that. I gotta tell you, I can look at that crowd and tell you it's more than 20,000 just looking at it, just the way.
I definitely think so.
I mean,
Right?
my
Like
my frame of reference
they
for
they said that
wow.
it was going to be I think that they had a permit for 20 something initially, and
Okay.
then they got a bigger one for 40 some odd thousand, because we're talking about, like, this is where those very lucky people that have kind of a front view
Right.
to the stage, but there are thousands of people surrounding the ellipses when they, hopefully they'll pan out again, as we await the vice president who's supposed
Right.
to come on at 7:30.
I just have to keep talking crowd size here for a
Please
moment.
do.
And I'm not Donald Trump, and yet I have a sense of crowds, and I have different frameworks for for crowds because being from the Midwest and my parents both went to the University of Michigan, I have gone to my share and more football games in the big house at Ann Arbor, right?
Mhm.
And that isn't, when you're in that space, you won't forget that that's 100,000, right? So you
Mhm.
can get a feel for what that is. And then, I've also, of course, I teach in a classroom and I've taught in a classroom, sometimes with like 85, 90. Like one of my classes now has 89 people. So I kind of know what 100 looks like as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Also 400. Like we have these different frames of reference and you've been in certain theaters or certain concerts and okay, I get that. In Madison Square Garden, am I remembering correctly that it only seats, is it 18,000? Is that the number? I forgot
I
what that
actually
number.
don't I actually don't know.
Hold on. Madison Square
Yeah.
Garden, seating capacity. I remember looking at this the other day. Seating capacity, yeah, 19,500. Boy, I like remembering that. So, in other words, um, and you look at this, and also the other day, you look at the other crowds. This is bigger than in the interior of Madison Square Garden, right? I know
Right,
this is
right,
more than
right, right,
20,000.
right.
I also look at this and I feel like, Michigan Stadium, it's also up like, in a concave thing. So I can't see the outer perimeter of this, right? So I can't say that it's 100. I can tell you it's more than 20. I think it could be in the 30, 40s or 50s, but I can't see the perimeter, so I can't tell you. And we also can't see how far back people are watching from buildings. And I know in DC nothing gets super high, but people are watching from everywhere to
Yep.
look at this place. I mean, I just, again, I'm kind of having FOMO, but I'm also kind of having a crowd panic attack. So I'm actually happy that we're just here
We're just
inside,
here.
Danielle. We're
Yeah,
fine.
we're fine. Because I often think that too. I'm like always excited that, like, I see something, I'm just like, God, I wish I was there. And then I realize that since COVID, I have extreme anxiety in crowds and around people. One, because I don't want
Right.
to get sick, but then also just because of the climate of crazy. And I know that you can't predict those things, but I'm not a crowds person anymore, is what I'm saying.
Well, do you
So
know
I'm good watching it.
I know that we are so busy that we don't get to watch each other's shows that much. But do you know the other day, and how many times have I told you that I'm in Michigan and work in Detroit today? I mean, have I
Yeah.
done my
Yeah,
quota?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So do you know that when Barack Obama was in town, I somehow landed seats in the bleachers behind the stage? I've never done that before, like done that, been on that side of the stage. And I'm actually trying to find, I thought I was gonna find those slides. I'm gonna see if I can find those slides.
Okay.
But anyway, I have pictures of like big Gretch. They made us put our phones down, I think for security reasons before. I can't even pull those up right now. Oh well. And maybe because I'm not controlling this live stream. But at any rate, at one point they said to put our phones down when I think it was an Elise Slotkin was coming up because that's when the Secret Service, more of the Secret Service is out there. And I think when you hold a phone, I mean, I've
Mhm.
seen people do it at other rallies, but this group of Secret Service professionals were better because I think when you hold up here's like a phone, you hold up a phone, it could look like a gun, right? It could be something that catches someone's eye.
Uh-huh.
That could be one reason. I think the other reason, it just looks bad if everyone's staring at their phones and
To
filming.
be
So I don't
fair.
know. So, but I did get pictures of this guy Calvin Johnson, who's a former NFL player, who was looking very fine. He spoke. Big Gretch, who is the governor of Michigan, who is cool as
Yes.
hell. You know, her, the head of the city council. But then when Eminem came up on stage, he did not rap, but he was there. I did not get a picture. Did you hear about that Eminem, Barack Obama encounter?
Well, I saw Barack Obama rap, which was
Yes, I was there
I
when that was
mean,
happening.
yeah, I mean, like that just again, just a reminder that you can have a president. We did have a president that was cool as fuck, that we did have somebody that was in touch with like culture and not just stalking the stage for 39 minutes playing Pavarotti or Maga's best hits and having a full-blown fucking meltdown. That like you can engage with celebrity in normal ways. Oh,
Wait, what's
we
going
ready?
on? Are we? Can we play this now? Am I allowed to? Let's listen. Hold on one sec.
Let's listen. We're like, who is it?
I know we're both like, wait, do you know who?
I have no idea, but I love the
either.
dress.
Me too. That's a long walk. That's like the catwalk. Why isn't she like doing a little bit of a?
Oh my
I
god,
guess you can't.
I honestly would hate that.
Me too. I'd be very self-conscious. Wouldn't you?
Okay, here we go. Maybe she's gonna sing
Singing.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
It's like the DNC when they were chanting
Please welcome
USA.
Vice President of the United
Here we
States,
go, friends.
Kamala Harris.
Okay, I'm zipping it. I'm zipping it. Although, okay,
Oh wait, we're not allowed to play the music.
we can't
I
play
just-
Beyonce.
I know. We can't play. So it's copyright music, friends.
I'll
that we're
say
not
the
allowed to
lyrics.
play
It's, I think the word freedom.
Jen and I will not sing this.
We won't say.
that
I'll just say
we watch
freedom.
the numbers go down. But let's just look at her.
Wow.
Let's just, folks, in 7 days, this could be the first female president of the United States. Like, I want to be in happiness about this image because I never thought in my life that a Black woman and Asian woman would ever be this close in my lifetime. And so, like, let us just take this in as she walks to the microphone to deliver her closing message to the American people. Okay, I think
I think that's it.
I think we're ready.
Good evening, America. Good
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So listen, 1 week from today, you will have the chance to make a decision that directly impacts your life, the life of your family, and the future of this country we love. And it will probably be the most important vote you ever cast. And this election is more than just a choice between two parties and two different candidates. It is a choice about whether we have a country rooted in freedom for every American or ruled by chaos and division. Many of you watching have probably already cast your ballots. But I know many others are still considering who to vote for, or whether you'll vote at all. So tonight, I will speak to everyone about the choice and the stakes in this election. Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. An election that he knew he lost. Americans died as a result of that attack. 140 law enforcement officers were injured because of that attack. And while Donald Trump sat in the White House watching as the violence unfolded on television, he was told by his staff that the mob wanted to kill his own vice president. And Donald Trump responded with 2 words: "So what?" America, that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who is asking you to give him another 4 years in the Oval Office. Not to focus on your problems, but to focus on his. And Donald Trump has told us his priorities for a second term. He has an enemies list of people he intends to prosecute. He says that one of his highest priorities is to set free the violent extremists who insulted those law enforcement officers on January 6th. Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that is not who we are. That is not who we are. That is not who we are. You see, what Donald Trump has never understood is that e pluribus unum, out of many, one, isn't just a phrase on a dollar bill. It is a living truth about the heart of our nation. Our democracy doesn't It doesn't require us to agree on everything. In fact, we like good arguments from time to time. Just think of your own family, right? It's not the American way to not have disagreements. We don't shy away from robust debate. In fact, we like a good debate, don't we? We like a good debate. And the fact that someone disagrees with us does not make them the enemy within. They are family, neighbors, classmates, co-workers. They are fellow Americans. And as Americans, we rise and fall together. America, for too long, we have been consumed with too much division, chaos, and mutual distrust. And it can be easy then to forget a simple truth. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. It is time to stop pointing fingers. We have to stop pointing fingers and start locking arms. It is time to turn the page on the drama and the conflict, the fear and division. It is time for a new generation of leadership in America. And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next President of the United States of America. Now look, let me say, I recognize this has not been a typical campaign. Even though I've had the honor of serving as your vice president for the last 4 years, I know that many of you are still getting to know who I am. Well, let me tell you, I am someone who has spent most of my career outside of Washington, D.C., so I know that not all the good ideas come from here. I am not afraid of tough fights against bad actors and powerful interests, because for decades, as a prosecutor and a top law enforcement officer of our biggest state, I won fights against big banks that ripped off homeowners, against for-profit colleges that scammed veterans and students, against predators who abused women and children, and cartels that trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. And I did this work because for as long as I can remember, I have always had an instinct to protect. There's something about people being treated unfairly or overlooked that frankly just gets to me. I don't like it. It's what my mother instilled in me, a drive to hold accountable those who use their wealth or power to take advantage of other people. The drive to protect hardworking Americans who aren't always seen or heard and deserve a voice. And I will tell you that is the kind of president I will be. And look, I'll be honest with you, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but here's what I promise you. I will always listen to you, even if you don't vote for me. I will always tell you the truth, even if it is difficult to hear. I will work every day to build consensus and reach compromise to get things done. And if you give me the chance to fight on your behalf, there is nothing in the world that will stand in my way. So look, in less than 90 days, either Donald Trump or I will be in the Oval Office. Okay? On day one, And on day one, if elected, Donald Trump would walk into that office with an enemies list. When elected, I will walk in with a to-do list full of priorities of what I will get done for the American people. And I will work with everyone, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, to help Americans who are working hard and still struggling to get ahead. I have been honored to serve as Joe Biden's vice president. But I will bring my own experiences and ideas to the Oval Office. My presidency will be different because the challenges we face are different. Our top priority as a nation 4 years ago was to end the pandemic and rescue the economy. Now, our biggest challenge is to lower costs that were rising even before the pandemic and that are still too high. I get it. I still remember our mother sitting at that yellow Formica table, late at night, cup of tea in hand, a pile of bills in front of her, trying to make it all work. And I've heard from so many of you who are facing even greater financial pressures. Donald Trump's answer to you is the same as it was the last time. Another $1 trillion in tax cuts for billionaires and big corporations. And this time, he will pay for it with a 20% national sales tax on everything you buy that is imported. Think about it. Clothes, food, toys, cell phones. A Trump sales tax that would cost the average family nearly $4,000 more a year. And on top of that, you will pay even more if Donald Trump finally gets his way and repeals the Affordable Care Act, which would throw millions of Americans off their health insurance and take us back to when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Well, we are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back because we also know Donald Trump would deliver tax cuts to his billionaire donors. I will deliver tax cuts to working people and the middle class. I will make sure you have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. Because I believe in honoring the dignity of work. I will enact the first ever federal ban on price gouging on groceries. Cap the price of insulin and limit out-of-pocket prescription costs for all Americans. I will fight to make sure that hardworking Americans can actually afford a place to live. I'll never forget how our mother saved up and how excited she was when she could finally afford to buy our first home. I remember how excited she was. And I know that owning a home is not only a measure of financial security, it's about the pride of your hard work. And as president, I will fight to help first-time home buyers with your down payment, take on the companies that are jacking up rents, and build millions of new homes. For years, we have heard excuses about why America can't build enough housing. Enough with the excuses. I'm going to cut the red tape and work with the private sector and local governments to speed up building and get it done. And the cost of housing isn't the only financial pressure on middle-class families. I have met so many young people who have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources to do it. So I'll fight for a child tax credit to save them some money, which will also lift American children out of poverty. I'll work to lower the cost of childcare, which is out of reach for too many working families today. And for too many people in the sandwich generation who are raising young children and taking care of a parent, juggling all of it is extremely difficult. You know, I took care of my mother when she got sick, cooking food that she had a taste for, finding clothes that would not irritate her skin. And understand, as I do, that caregiving is about dignity. It is about dignity. And currently, if you need home care and you don't have some money to hire someone, you and your family need to deplete your savings to qualify for help. That's just not right. So we're going to change the approach and allow Medicare to cover the cost of home care so seniors can get the help and care they need in their own homes. Now, Donald Trump has a different approach. He tried to cut Medicare and Social Security every year he was president. Look, I believe that when people have worked hard their entire life, they deserve to retire with the benefits they have earned. And I believe in the fundamental freedom of Americans to make decisions about their own bodies and not have their government tell them what to do. I will fight to restore what Donald Trump and his hand-selected Supreme Court justices took away from the women of America. That today, 1 in 3 women in America, think about it, 1 in 3 women in America lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban. Many with no exceptions even for rape and incest. The idea that a woman who survives a crime of a violation to her body should not have the authority to make a decision about what happens to her body next, that is immoral. That is immoral, and Trump's not done. He would ban abortion nationwide, restrict access to birth control and put IVF treatments at risk, and force states to monitor women's pregnancies. Just Google Project 2025 and read the plans for yourself. And look, I think does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to simply agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. Not the government. And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly. And look, on another subject, politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes in an election. And instead treat it as the serious challenge that it is that we must finally come together to solve. I will work with Democrats and Republicans to sign into law the border security bill that Donald Trump killed. When I was Attorney General of a border state, I saw the chaos and violence caused by transnational criminal organizations that I took on. And when I am president, we will quickly remove those who arrive here unlawfully, prosecute the cartels, and give Border Patrol the support they so desperately need. At the same time, we must acknowledge we are a nation of immigrants. And I will work with Congress to pass immigration reform, including an earned path to citizenship for hardworking immigrants like farm workers and our dreamers. As Commander-in-Chief, I will make sure America has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has shown his contempt for our nation's heroes, calls them suckers and losers, called a four-star Marine general a, quote, lowlife. I will always honor, never denigrate the service and sacrifice of our troops and their families, and fulfill our sacred obligation to care for them. I will strengthen, not surrender, America's global leadership. And I will stand with our friends because I know that our alliances keep American people safe and make America stronger and more secure. Look, world leaders think that Donald Trump is an easy mark, easy to manipulate with flattery or favor. And you can believe that autocrats like Putin and Kim Jong-un are rooting for him in this election. I will always uphold our security, advance our national interest, and ensure that the United States of America remains, as we must forever be, a champion of liberty around the world. America, we know what Donald Trump has in mind. More chaos, more division, and policies that help those at the very top and hurt everyone else. I offer a different path, and I ask for your vote. And here is my pledge to you. I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to make your life better. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. I pledge to listen to experts, to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make, and
Do we have a buffing problem?
to people who disagree with me. Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. I pledge to you to approach my work with the joy and optimism that comes from making a difference in people's lives. And I pledge to be a president for all Americans. And to always put country above party and self. I love our country with all my heart. And I believe in its promise because I've lived it. I grew up as a child of the civil rights movement. My parents would take me to marches in a stroller where crowds of people of all races, faiths, and walks of life came together to fight for the ideals of freedom and opportunity. I've lived the promise of America. I saw how hard our mother worked to give her daughters the same chances this country gave her. Growing up, I was blessed to have family by blood and family by love, who instilled in me the values of community, compassion, and faith that have always defined our nation at its best. I've lived the promise of America. I've spent my life fighting for the people who have been hurt and counted out, but never stopped believing that in our country, anything is possible. I've lived the promise of America, and I see the promise of America in all of you. In all of you. I see it. I see it in the young people who are voting for the first time, who are determined to live free from gun violence and to protect our planet and to shape the world they inherit. I see it in the women who refuse to accept a future without reproductive freedom, and the men who support them. I see it in Republicans who have never voted for a Democrat before, but have put the Constitution of the United States over party. I've seen it in Americans different in many respects, but united in our pursuit of freedom, our belief in fairness and decency, and our faith in a better future. America, I know the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. I know it. And that's why I am in this race, to fight for the people, just like I always have. Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and for the people is strong and can endure. And those who came before us, the patriots at Normandy and Selma, Seneca Falls and Stonewall, on farmlands and factory floors, they did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms. They didn't do that only to see us submit to the will of another petty tyrant. These United States of America, we are not a vessel for the schemes of wannabe dictators. The United States of America is the greatest idea humanity ever devised. A nation big enough to encompass all our dreams, strong enough to withstand any fracture or fissure between us, and fearless enough to imagine a future of possibilities. So America, let us reach for that future. Let us fight for this beautiful country we love. And in 7 days, we have the power, each of you has the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told. I thank you all. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That was absolutely fucking extraordinary. Like I'm on the verge of tears because in 7 days, this could be the president of the United States. I don't know. Jen, talk to me. Talk to us.
I'm having an out of body experience where I have entered into history back 250 years, imagining children, young girls in particular, young Black girls born into that's into slavery, back in that era, looking at the stars and dreaming of a better future. Can you imagine knowing this could be waiting? And I will say to you, I'm also looking back, Danielle, to the time when Hillary Clinton lost. Not the morning we were curled up into a fetal position, but that Saturday night when I had to watch Kate McKinnon playing at the piano that song, why am I forgetting? Hallelujah, the Leonard Cohen song, because he had just passed away and she was dressed as Hillary Clinton, and feeling my heart being ripped out. And if I could have known at that time that this night, tonight, was waiting for us, I'm not saying it would have been okay, but I'm saying it was this thing we could hold out hope for. And Danielle, I'm scared out of my mind. There's an adorable dog who is so jazzed for the future. I don't know what his name is. He's really cute.
Pierre is his name. His name is Pierre. And Pierre is like on my last nerve at this moment.
You know what you need to
But
do?
I-
Because
But
throw
he
him
is
something.
jazzed up. He is jazzed up.
He's
Um,
give him something to chew on, like a pencil or
I'm
anything.
gonna give him a Donald Trump doll. Just kidding. I don't own one.
But how
Uh,
are you feeling, Danielle?
I think that I am in a place of overwhelm and shock and fear and excitement. I feel like the intersection of emotions that we are all feeling are like on the tops of our skin right now. Do you
Yes.
know what I'm saying? Like to watch her, to listen to some of the things, and Jen, you were dropping them in
Yeah, I took
in
my
the
notes
chat.
in the chat. Yeah.
You were taking your good lawyer. You were taking your notes in the chat. But it's like when she said, as Americans, we rise and fall together, right? Like I didn't recognize, Jen, I don't think, except over the last 9 years, that Americans need to be reminded by our leaders of who we are. And all Donald Trump has told us over the last 9 years is who isn't worthy, right? And who doesn't matter, and who is a vermin, and who is disgusting. And for the vice president to come out there and then say, we need to stop pointing fingers and start locking arms. Stop pointing fingers and start locking arms. That's the America that I want. That's the America that I believe in. That's the America that I said at 16 years old, I want to be in politics.
That's
because
right.
I want to help people, right? Like I want to do work that will educate people, because my family came here as immigrants, and everyone should have the opportunity to build the life that they want. And that's what that statement meant to me.
And I want to dive right into that part of the speech. You know, every speech has a moral center, or has, you know, there's different content she's responding to. There's different emotional pieces. I think for both of us that hit us. And I took some notes around that section. Right before she said that, she said about Americans, we like a good debate. And the fact that someone disagrees with us does not make them the enemy within. It makes them family. It makes them a coworker. She tried to do the repairing, to say, we're going to argue, we're going to fight. We don't have to all get along, but we're not enemies. And then she moved to, it doesn't have to be this way. It's time to stop pointing fingers. And you said, start locking arms, and to turn the page on the drama and the conflict, the fear and the division. It is time, and this is a great pivot, for a new generation of leadership in America. And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next President of the United States of America. I have the flipping chills as I am saying this. Danielle, I want to vote for her again. I know I can't. I can't tear it up and vote
You're right.
again.
We learned that at the beginning.
We learned that.
You can't do it over. But
Oh my God.
I know that we're wrapping up, but I just, this is the moment. This is the moment, right? When we decide as Americans who we want to be, right? Moving forward. We know that the last 248 years of America were not a place of perfection, right? She called out the different at points, the different tent moments in our country, Stonewall, the civil rights movement, Montgomery. She called out these places as a reminder of places where blood was shed, where fights were had in order to keep inching us forward. We are at another moment. We're at another inflection point. And I mean, just the imagery alone, her,
Yes.
the White House behind her in a shadow, the Washington Monument, the ellipses full with the word freedom and progress instead of Donald Trump's grimace and
That's
a
right.
face that were on the screens on January 6th. I think that this is America's moment, and we'll find out in a week whether or not we meet it.
And with I say that, God bless you and God bless America. I mean, hello. She stood in her power and she reclaimed that space for all of us. For all of us. Danielle, I will be with you 7 days from today, honey. And
7
I'm
days.
I'm gonna be pudding because I'm already so on edge. But there's no one in the world I'd rather be with than you and the other nerds.
Yes, 100%. So, friends watching, you will, first off, before we even log off, Jen, tell the people when your show is, how they should follow you, where they should follow you.
Oh, big change of plans. I'm coming right back here to Mary Trump Media with Jen Taub Live tomorrow morning and every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m.
All right, amazing. And folks, you can catch the Danielle Moody Show, which is live 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. I like to take Fridays off on my channel. You can find me on YouTube as well. Follow us, subscribe, follow Mary Trump Media. We are growing this channel, this independent media space, because, well, you saw what happened this week on CNN and in other places. Like, independent media and YouTube is where it's at. So we appreciate those that are on Twitter, YouTube, for sticking around with us here. So
Yep, smash that subscribe button and we'll see you in the morning.
we'll see you in the morning. Thank you, friends, so very much. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Mercedes and Kyle in the back. Appreciate you, folks. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna end. Oh my God. I'll end.